Chrysalids by John Wyndham, dramatised by Jane Rogers.
Two places, an end in one hand, and each hand should have 4 fingers and 1 thumb. Any creature that shall seem to be human, but is not formed thus, is not human. It is a blasphemy against the true image of God, and hateful in the sight of God.
When I was quite small, I would sometimes dream of a city, which was strange because it began before I even knew what a city was. But this city, clustered on the curve of a big blue bay, would come into my mind. I could see the streets and the buildings that lined them, the waterfront, even boats in the harbour. Yet, waking, I had never seen the sea or a boat. And the buildings were unlike any I knew. Carts ran with no horses to pull them, and sometimes there were things in the sky, shiny fish-shaped things that certainly were not birds. Most often, I would see this wonderful place by daylight, but occasionally it was by night, when the lights lay like strings of glowworms along the shore, and a few of them seemed to be sparks drifting on the water or in the air. Once, when I was still young enough to know no better, I asked my sister Mary where this lovely city could be. Perhaps, she suggested, I could be dreaming about the wonderful world that the old people had lived in, as it had been before God sent tribulation. She went on to warn me very seriously not to mention it to anyone else. Other people, as far as she knew, did not have such pictures in their heads, either sleeping or waking. That was good advice, and luckily I had the sense to take it. People in our district had a very sharp eye for the odd or the unusual, so that even my left-handedness caused slight disapproval. I certainly did not feel unusual. I was a normal little boy, taking the ways of the world about me for granted. And I kept on like that until the day I met Sophie. I was, I suppose, nearly 10 years old. I had made my way down the cart track to the south, along the borders of several fields, until I came to the high bank.
Where have you come from? Over there. The other side of the bank? No one lives on the other side. Did you make that slide? Yes. Well, the rain made it, really. If you push off hard, you practically fly. Look! Want to go? There's only sand at the bottom. It doesn't hurt. Yes! What's your name? Sophie. What's yours? David. David Strorm. Whoa! I'm really going to fly this time. Go on. Move. I'm coming down. I can't. It hurts. What's the matter? My foot's stuck. It's just sand. Oh, your shoe's jammed between 2 stones. Can't you twist it out? It won't come. I'll help pull. No, it hurts. Wriggle your foot out of the shoe. No, I mustn't. But if we get your foot out, I can use a stone to bash the shoe free. I mustn't. I promise. You've got to get it off. If you don't, you'll stay here and die. All right. Go away. You mustn't look. I can't. That's the lace. If you just try and turn your ankle to the side, and we'll just pull a bit. There we are. It's swollen. Maybe you've broken something. Can you stand? I can't walk on it, David. No. I'll go fetch help. No, I'll crawl. I'll get my Uncle Axel. He's kind. No. Your knees are going to be awfully sore.
David?
Yes?
You have to promise you'll never tell.
Tell what?
About my toes.
What?
My parents said I must never ever let anyone see my toes, because if they find out, they'll take me away.
Because you have 6?
Yes. Promise?
I promise.
Every Sunday I chanted with all the families of Wacknock.
Decreed that man should have one body, one head, 2 arms and 2 legs, that each arm should be jointed in 2 places.
I knew it word for word, and yet the sight of Sophie's 6 toes stirred nothing in my memory. It was only after I had helped her back to her home, and her mother had scooped her up and thanked me with tears running down her cheeks, that the monotonous Sunday commandments joined up with reality in my head. And each leg shall be jointed twice.
And each foot 5 toes, and each toe shall end with a flat nail. And any creature that shall seem to be human, but is not formed thus, is not human. It is a blasphemy against the true image of God.
I ate my supper facing my mother's embroidered text, "Watch thou for the mutant." But it didn't bother me. I was much more interested in my food. I kept Sophie a secret. On a big busy farm like ours, it was easy to slip away, to pretend to have a chore here, an errand to run there. And I never gave the laws of deviation another thought till one day when I cut my thumb testing the axe blade and went looking for a rag to bind it.
The guns need cleaning and loading, Axel. They've reported a second raiding party of fringe dwellers.
They have to grain again.
And livestock.
But we have to go tonight, Joseph, for the militia gathering tonight.
Yes, woman! They're only 10 miles off.
Bother.
David, what are you doing?
I'm trying to tear this bit of rag, Mother.
That's the furthest they've come into civilised lands. It must be starving.
Well, I'll have Mary put up some bread and cold meat for the pair of you. Oh, David, for goodness sake, you're dripping blood onto me clean floor. Come here and let me bind it properly.
With God's help, we'll push them right back to the Badlands with the other deformities. You can lead the prayers tonight, Emily.
Stand still. Why'd you have to go and do this, just when I'm busy with dinner?
I'm sorry, I could have managed it all right by myself if I'd had another hand.
What was that you said, boy?
I said I couldn't manage to tie this for myself, Father.
And you wished you had a third hand?
No, Father. I only said if I had another hand.
You would be able to tie it. If that was not a wish, what was it?
Joseph, the boy...
Be quiet, Axel!
I only meant if.
You were calling upon the devil to give you another hand.
But I wasn't. I only...
Everyone in this room heard you! You'll make it no better by lying.
But...
Were you, or were you not, expressing dissatisfaction with the form of the body God gave you?
I just said if
You found fault with the norm. You know what the norm is?
The norm is the image of God.
And yet knowing this, you deliberately wished yourself a mutant. What is a mutant?
A thing accursed in the sight of God and man.
And that is what you wished to be. Down on your knees! Lord, we have sinned in our mission. We beg thy forgiveness that we have not better instructed this child in thy laws. We pray that thou instill in him a proper respect for the true image. Amen. Now go to your room and pray for a forgiveness which you do not deserve. Emily, fetch my whip.
David, are you all right?
David, what's happened?
David.
David?
Are you hurt?
Are you hurt, David?
David, are you all right?
David, are you hurt? David?
Axel, get the horses ready. I will come to you later, boy, to administer your punishment.
Rosalind, it wasn't the beating. That wasn't the worst thing.
Oh, poor David.
But afterwards, I had a dream. We were all standing in the yard, like we did for the last purification. That was when my father slit the throats of the little hairless calf and the lamb with no eyes. But this time it was Sophie.
Your friend, Sophie?
Yes, standing there, barefoot, with everyone staring at her. And my father with the knife shining in his hand.
David, it was only a dream. Why should you want to hurt your friend?
Then she began to run from one of us to the next, begging us to help her.
She's not a mutant, is she?
No. And he caught her and dragged her back to the middle of the yard. And everyone started to sing a hymn.
Hello, Davy. You talking to yourself?
No, Uncle Axel.
I have some ointment for your back. Here, let me see. Sorry. It'll sting a bit. Now, you want to tell me all about it, old chap?
You didn't go with Father and the militia?
Well, I thought I'd stay and keep an eye on things here. So, who were you chatting to so busily?
Rosalind.
Well, I can't see where she's hiding.
She's at home. At least, she's near home. In the little treehouse her brother's built in the spinney.
So, you pretend she can hear you?
It's not pretend.
What do you mean?
We talk to each other, in our minds. With thought shapes in our minds.
You and your cousin Rosalind?
Yes.
This isn't play stuff, it's the real truth you're telling me here, Davy boy.
Yes, Uncle Axel.
And you never told anybody else, nobody at all?
No, it's a secret.
Good. I think you must keep it secret. Never, never tell anybody else what you've just told me, never. It's very important. You'll understand better when you're older, but you mustn't do anything that would even let anyone guess about it, all right? Shake on it. It would be best if you could forget it altogether.
I don't think I could. I mean, it just is. It'd be like trying to forget...
How to talk, or how to hear, perhaps?
Rather like that.
You hear the words inside your head.
Not exactly. There are sort of shapes, and if you use words, it's easier to understand.
But you don't have to use words. Not say them aloud as we're doing just now.
Oh, no. It just helps to make it clearer sometimes.
Yeah, and it also helps to make things a lot more dangerous for both of you. Now, I want you to promise me that you'll never do it aloud anymore.
All right, Uncle Axel.
And you make sure Rosalind promises the same, all right, Davy boy? Just keep it inside your heads.
I didn't tell Uncle Axel about the others because he seemed so worried already. But that evening I put the matter to Rosalind, and we tuned into Michael and the other thought shapers too.
Once, when I was talking to David, my mother came into my room very quietly. She didn't say anything, but the look on her face and the way she shook her head made me shiver.
We've all felt the same at different times, haven't we?
Yes, Michael. We have all felt as if it was wrong or shameful when we share thoughts. People look at you strangely.
My uncle says we must keep it completely secret. He says our lives may depend on it.
Let us swear.
We'll all swear, Michael, to keep our thought shape secret.
We must keep it in our heads and never speak aloud at the same time.
We can do that.
Emily! Axel! I'm hurt!
No one who doesn't share our ability must ever know of it.
Yes,
Mary! Mary, put water on to boil!
Lean on me to dismount, Joseph. That's it. Have you wait?
Flesh wound, that's all. But I can't get this arrow. Bringing him in now!
Take them prisoners! Just help him up this step, Axel. If we can't remove it, I'll have to send for the doctor.
The prisoners are coming!
Two of the Fringe's leaders en route for a Kentuck.
Will they take food and water here?
Aye, we'll rest 10 minutes here, then be on our way.
Uncle Axel, are they really Fringe's men?
They are, Davy boy, and it's a rare thing to capture them. They're better woodsmen and cleverer at hiding themselves than proper human beings.
But they look just like... They have the same number of arms and legs as...
Well, keep your eyes peeled and you'll see. They're neither of them the true image.
Axel! I need your help!
Coming!
When they were dragged off their horses, I saw what was wrong with one of them. He was 7 feet tall. His legs and arms were monstrously long and thin. It made him look half man, half spider, and his face... His face brought me up dumbfounded. He was the spitting image of my father. He nodded at me.
What's your name, boy?
David. David Strorm.
The man they helped into the house, that man with the injured arm, would be your father, Joseph?
Yes.
So we're at Wacknook?
Yes.
Home at last.
I'm sorry. I
David? Get away from that. Come here now.
Off you run, little nephew! Off you go!
Your father wants you. How dare you speak to that deformity?
I heard that both the captured Fringe's men managed to escape that same night, and the figure of the Spider-Man with my father's face haunted my dreams. During the long summer holidays, nobody at Wacknook seemed to trouble about me if I was out of sight. As often as I could, I sloped off to play with Sophie. We discovered a place up the stream where there were banks of shingle.
There are shrimps. Pass me your net. Look, there.
Into the jar with him. I can't reach. Hang on.
Why don't you take off your shoes and come in too?
It's dangerous.
There's no one here.
Well, just for a little paddle.
Come on.
Oh, it's lovely and cool. They're not really horrible, are they?
Your toes? No. They make mine look all knobbly.
Have you seen the giant horses yet?
Yes. My Uncle Matthew has bought them.
What are they like?
26 hands at the shoulder. Monstrous. My father says they must be destroyed.
That's what I don't understand. Why must things be destroyed?
Because everything that isn't the way it was in the old days, before tribulation, is an offence in the eyes of God. We have to seek purity, which is keeping everything in the image of the way it was before tribulation. So if an animal or plant deviates from the norm...
Deviates?
If it's too big, or the wrong colour or shape, like the lamb with one ear or the purple wheat, then it's an offence against God and has to be destroyed.
How do you know?
We learn it at school and church.
I wish I could go to school. My parents say I can never go where other children are. Look, a little fish. I'll put him in the jar.
There's loads of fish in the sea, all around the civilised world, which is called Labrador. There's water called sea.
My father's told me about the sea. He's even been there.
So's my Uncle Axel. He was a sailor.
Oh, boy!
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Who is he?
Alan Irwin, son of the blacksmith. He used to go to my school.
Well, David Strorm, and who's this?
She's just... Here, Sophie, your shoes. Catch.
You're useless, Strorm. You throw like a girl. Where's she come from?
Nowhere. I just met her.
Catching shrimps? Ah, they're no good, you know. What's this? Hey, what the devil's this?
He was staring at the damp footprint on the rock. Sophie had rested one foot there as she bent to tip her catch into the jar. The print of all 6 toes showed clearly. I kicked over the jar and a cascade of water and struggling shrimps poured over the footprint. But I knew the damage had been done.
Where's she off to? Hey, stop!
No! Leave her alone!
Get off me!
I'll get you!
Get you and whose army?
No!
He's...
Gosh, Sophie, what did you hit him with? This rock. He's still breathing, isn't he?
Yes. Let's go.
We'd better tell my parents.
Her father listened carefully while we told him about it, then turned to his wife and said, "Well, my dear, this is it." They hugged each other, and though I didn't yet know what it meant, I knew they were sad. Her mother made us some food, and as we ate, Sophie's parents began to load up their 2 little horses.
We're going away.
Going away?
Mummy said we'd have to go if anybody ever found out. We nearly did when you first saw them.
Your toes?
Yeah.
But you mean right away? Never come back?
I think so.
Where?
I don't know. A long way away.
Mrs. Wender brought in a series of satchels and packs. I watched glumly as she dumped them close to the door and went away again. Sophie's father came in from outside to collect them.
Mr. Wender, please can't I come too?
He explained to me that I couldn't. If they were caught, they'd be charged with kidnapping as well as concealment. But also, once they got out of our district, no one would bother about them. As runaways, they'd just be someone else's responsibility. But if Joseph Strorm, the preacher's son, was missing, there'd be a hue and cry for miles around and posses out hunting for us. He asked me to stay the night in their house before going home, to give them longer to get safely clear. Sophie held out her hand with something concealed in it as she said goodbye. A lock of curling brown hair tied with a yellow ribbon. The last I saw of them was Sophie's arm waving as the dust beneath the trees enveloped them. I didn't dare contact Rosalind or any of the others, as I'd been sworn to total secrecy. I shan't speak of my lonely night and the terrors I felt, but It was as real and distressing as the reception awaiting me when I finally made my way home.
David, don't you try slinking past. Come here!
Yes, Father?
The inspector has been waiting to talk to you.
Hello, David.
Where have you been? You've been out all night. Where? Sullenness isn't going to help you. Who was this child, this blasphemy you were with yesterday?
I don't know.
You dare lie to me!
You know, David, concealment of a blasphemy, not reporting a human deviation, is a very, very serious matter. People go to prison for it. It is everybody's duty to report any kind of offence to me, even if they aren't sure, so that I can decide. Young Irwin says this child has 6 toes. Is that true?
No.
He's lying.
I see. Well, if it isn't true, it can't matter if we know her name, can it?
I'll deal with this. The boy's lying. The devil needs beating out of him. Go to your room!
That is my whip. I said
David.
that is my whip.
Are you all
Here's
right?
mine!
David.
David, tell us what's happening. David, what's the matter? Oh, David, what's the matter? Are you all right? Just tell us what's happening. David.
My Uncle Axel was away on border patrol. It was my sister Mary who came and dressed my back. She wept as she helped me into bed. I did my best to put on a brave show. But when she'd gone, my tears soaked into the pillow. It was not so much the bodily hurts that brought them, my bloody back and bruised legs. It was bitterness and self-contempt. In wretchedness and misery, I clutched the yellow ribbon and brown curl tight.
I couldn't help it, Sophie. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it.
What's happened? It's a secret.
But it doesn't matter now. I made friends with a girl with 6 toes.
Deviant?
No, she wasn't. She was just an ordinary person like us.
But deviation is evil.
Not something small like that. Michael, you don't understand.
But you protected him.
It wasn't like that.
Hello, Davy. I brought you some sweets.
Thank you, Inspector. Sorry, I can't sit up.
That's all right, my boy. I'll just pull up a chair by your bed. How long have you known that Wender child? What is her name, by the way?
Sophie.
How long have you known that Sophie deviates?
About 6 months, I think.
That's what we call abetting a concealment. You must have known that was wrong, didn't you?
I didn't... It didn't seem like the things they say in church. Besides, they're awfully little toes.
And each foot shall have 5 toes. You remember that?
Yes.
Well, every part of the definition is as important as any other. And if a child doesn't come within it, then it isn't human. And that means it doesn't have a soul. It is not in the image of God. It is an imitation. And in the imitations there's always some mistake. Only God produces perfection. So although deviations may look like us in many ways, they cannot be really human.
But Sophie isn't different. Not in any other way.
You must have realized Sophie deviated. Why didn't you tell your father or me about her?
I had a dream that my father would treat her like he does the farm offences. I dreamt he had a knife.
But blasphemies are not treated in the same way as offences.
What happens to them?
Well, David, you'll find out as you grow older. The devil sends deviations among us to tempt us away from purity. Sometimes he is clever enough to make a nearly perfect imitation, so we always have to be on the lookout for the mistake. And when we see one, it must be reported at once. You'll remember that in future, won't you?
Sophie's my friend.
I don't want to punish you again, seeing how severely you've already been...
My best friend.
Loyalty is a virtue. But there's such a thing as misplaced loyalty. One day you will understand the importance of loyalty to the purity of the race.
They got them! All three of them!
Oh. No! No!
It was 3 days before I could leave my bed. My mother brought me food but didn't speak to me. But Rosalind and the others sent me thought shapes of sympathy and understanding. It's impossible to tell lies in thought shapes, and so gradually they were coming round to my way of seeing Sophie, even though it was against all we'd been taught. On the first morning I was out in the yard again, walking stiffly and cautiously so my healing back didn't crack open. Michael suddenly reached me.
David, are you better?
Nearly.
One of us is gone. Have you heard from the boy at the charcoal makers?
I don't think so. Not for a few days.
The rest of us have all tried to reach him. We can't get through.
Maybe he's asleep.
Sally's been trying since yesterday evening. We think something may have happened to him. Someone may have found out.
My uncle's coming. I've got to go. Uncle Axel! Did you know they've captured my friend, Sophie?
It couldn't be helped, Davy, lad.
Did you see them?
No. We were patrolling the eastern border. They caught them 20 miles west. A man, a woman, and a girl.
I didn't want to give them away, but...
It wasn't your fault they caught them. It was a routine patrol. Let's go to the stable and rub it down. Come.
I'm going to run away.
Where would you run to?
Where would be best?
Whatever district you're in, they want to see your normalcy certificate. Then they know where you're from, so you'd get sent back.
Not in the fringes.
Man alive, you don't want to go to the fringes. They've got nothing there. Most of them are half-starving. That's why they make the raids.
There must be other places.
Only if you can find a ship. In a few years' time, when you're old enough to look after yourself, it may be different.
But what's it like? Beyond Labrador?
Godless.
That's the sort of thing my father says.
Fair enough, Davy boy. You promise not to chatter about it.
You mean it's a secret?
Well, not quite. But when people are used to believing a thing is such and such a way, and the preachers want them to believe that, you get no thanks for upsetting their ideas.
Joseph? Hello, Inspector. I've come to deal with that boy of mine.
It's all right, Davy boy.
He's been punished enough, Joseph. I called to tell you we'll take the matter no further.
Spare the rod and spoil the child. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
Let the child pray for forgiveness. That will suffice.
There you go, Davy. Relax. I can tell you now. The world's a much queerer place than it looks from Wacknut.
I promise I won't tell anyone.
Well, I've been south 3 times. You have to sail downriver from Rigo till you reach the sea. After a couple of 100 miles, you come to the Straits of Newf. It's all badlands. It's a jungle of deviations. Creatures you can't name slithering about. Big things flying in the distance.
Those gigantic offences Matthew was...
Giant birds.
They don't move like birds. It's a weird, evil land. And a man who sees it suddenly understands what might happen here if it weren't for the purity laws and the
I
inspectors.
say a horse like that is not one of God's creatures.
And further south, you come to the stretches of coast where nothing grows. Nothing at all. The land looks like a huge desert of charcoal. There are no fish in the sea, no weed, not even slime. And when a ship has sailed there, the barnacles and fouling on her bottom drop off and leave her hull clean. Nothing moves at all. Except the waves breaking on the black beaches.
The breed was produced simply by
As if it's all been burnt.
Aye.
And I defy you to find any...
And they say it still glows at night. There was one ship whose captain was foolhardy enough to sail close inshore. Her crew made out great stone ruins, maybe the remains of one of the old people's cities. Most of the men in that ship wasted away and died before they reached home.
There are plenty of us here who know how God...
Is that the furthest anyone's been? Isn't there a city beyond it?
A city?
I saw a city in a dream, with shining buildings and flying machines.
The type is approved.
There is life further south, ships that have gone on and passed the limits of the Badland and come to a different kind of fringes. They found one tribe who were hairless, who believed that hair is the devil's mark. In one place, they don't think you're properly human unless you have webbed fingers and toes. In another, they don't allow any woman who is not multi-breasted to have children.
Full duty to protect those horses from harm by fools and bigots.
Can you talk to those deviations?
Most of them. They pretty much have the same legends of the old people as we have. How they could fly, or how they used to build cities that floated on the sea. How they could speak to each other even hundreds of miles away. But what's more worrying is that they believe, whether they have 7 fingers or hair all over, that their type is the true pattern of the old people, and anything different is a deviation.
So to them we might be a deviation.
Exactly. Nobody really knows what is the true image. For all we can prove, the old people themselves may not have been the true image. Or maybe they were, and the legends of them talking to one another over long distances are also true, which would make you and Rosalind nearer to the image than the rest of us.
It isn't just me and Rosalind. There are others.
What? Who are they? How many?
8. There were 9, but one of them stopped. He stopped suddenly. Do you think anyone found out?
I think we would have heard of it if they had. Perhaps he's just gone away.
He would have told us.
Well, and wouldn't he have told you if anyone had found out?
Dinner bell.
Oh, good. I'm hungry. Now, you'll stop thinking of running away, eh? For a few years, at least.
It's just as well I didn't run, because shortly after that my sister Petra was born. It came as a genuine surprise to me. There'd been a slight sense of expectation for a couple of weeks, nothing I could pin down though. Then one night I was woken by the howling of a baby. There'd been no baby in the house when I went to bed, and in the morning no baby was visible either. She couldn't be admitted to until the inspector had been called to issue his certificate. The inspector, to my father's rage, kept him waiting all day. But when he finally inspected her, Petra was pronounced to be a human baby in the true image, and we were allowed to see her. Everyone on the farm stopped work, and we assembled in the kitchen for prayers of thanksgiving. 2 days after Petra was born, on a hot afternoon, I was lurking in the storeroom next to my parents' bedroom when a trap drove up. I peered through the window to see my Aunt Harriet jump down with a bundle in her arms.
You don't mean to say you brought a tiny baby all that way?
I know, but I had to, Emily. I heard your baby had come earlier and I... Oh, there she is. Oh, she's lovely. Oh, my little niece. Mine's lovely too, isn't she? Hush, my darling.
Of course she is. Oh, I am glad. Oh, Harriet, my favourite sister. Henry must be delighted.
Yes, he is. She was born a week ago. I didn't know what to do. Then I heard your baby was a girl too, and it was like God answering a prayer. Emily, you've got the certificate for her?
Of course. Harriet, are you going to tell me that you have not got a certificate? Let me see you. Properly. Pull back that shawl.
It's such a little thing. You see, it's nothing much.
Nothing much? You bring your monster into my house and tell me it's nothing much?
Monster? Oh,
shush. What does Henry say?
He said we ought to notify at once, but I wouldn't let him. I couldn't, Emily, I couldn't. Dear God, not a bedtime. I love her. And when I heard your baby had come early, I thought that if I could leave my baby with you and borrow yours to get...
Joseph! Send her away and tell her to take that with her.
And it's your sister, my dear.
Look! Just look at it.
I shall send for the inspector.
They'll take my baby away again. Henry will turn me out and look for another wife who can give him proper children. Emily, you're the only person in the world who can help me.
How do you dare to come to a God-fearing house? You don't even show an atom of shame!
Why should I? I am not ashamed. I'm only beaten.
Not ashamed of producing a mockery of your maker? Not ashamed of trying to tempt your own sister into criminal conspiracy? Go down on your knees and pray. Pray that your sins may be forgiven you.
I shall pray God to send charity into this hideous world. I shall ask him if it is indeed his will that a little child should suffer and her soul be damned for such a tiny blemish. And I shall pray him that the hearts of the self-righteous may be broken.
Strong deliverer, be thou still my strength and shield. Be thou still my strength and shield. Now let us pray. Let us pray for the souls of those who have departed this vale of tears. Let us pray for Silas Stevens, father to Judith, who passed on peacefully in his sleep. Let us pray for Harriet Sleet, sister of my own good wife, who has died by drowning.
My Aunt Harriet. My aunt and her baby.
I am not ashamed. I'm only beaten.
I can see her, lying in the river, clasping her baby tight. I can see her hair swirled around her face by the water. Her eyes are wide open, but she sees nothing.
And I shall pray him that the hearts of the self-righteous may be broken.
To grow and breathe would spread pollution until all around us would be mutants and abominations.
Oh God, please, please, let me be like other people.
And faith are weak. Here it shall never happen. Our ancestors were of the true stock. They have handed on a trust.
Please, let me not be different. Let me not deviate.
We must be vigilant together to do battle against the evil one, to stamp out blasphemy, no matter how small or weak its signs, to uncover concealment, to proclaim steadfastly in one voice, accursed is the mutant!
Uncle Axel!
Well now, Davy. What's the trouble?
I want to know what happened to the baby.
What baby?
Aunt Harriet came here with her baby.
So that was it.
The baby was different, like Sophie was different. Whenever they find someone different, they get rid of them.
Hush, lad. Here. Help me sweep out these pens. Look as if we're busy. You must learn to watch yourself, Davy, and they'll never find you out.
I don't want to be different. I prayed to be normal.
Well, even if the old people were the same kind as us, what of it? Where are they in their wonderful world now?
God sent tribulation upon them.
Tribulation wasn't just tempest, hurricanes, floods like they had in the Bible. It was a lot worse. It made the black coasts and the ruins that glow in the dark. We've got to believe that God is sane, Davy boy. But whatever happened out there was not sane.
But tribulation...
A word. A rusted mirror reflecting nothing. What were the old people really like? What was it they did to bring this frightful disaster down upon themselves and all the world?
You mean they were bad?
What will we gain by trying to rebuild the kind of world the old people lost? Another tribulation?
But if we don't rebuild the world that has been lost, what can we do?
Think, Davy. What is it inside a man that makes him a man?
A soul.
Souls are just counters for churches to collect, all the same value. What distinguishes man from the beasts is mind. And minds aren't all the same value. You see where I'm going?
Not really.
Man got his physical shape, the true image, before he knew he was a man. It's what happened inside his head after that made him human. He discovered he had a mind which he could develop. He could learn and develop new qualities of mind. Now, the way I see it, you and Rosalind and the others have got a new quality of mind. To break God, to take it away, is wrong. It's like asking him to strike you blind or make you deaf. Since that's the way you are, you must work out what is the best use you can make of it. Now, pass me that shovel. Oh, and that reminds me, lad. I heard something about an accident to a charcoal burner's son, which may set your fears at rest.
Listen, all of you. My uncle has found out that the one of us who vanished was Walter Brent, killed by a falling tree.
So he wasn't discovered?
No, Rosalind, no.
Oh, that's a relief.
Oh, we are glad. Thank you, David.
But we need to know who each other are, and where we live, so we can check up, in case any of us ever go missing again.
David's right. We need to look out for each other. I'm Rosalind. I'm David's cousin, and our farms neighbour each other at Wacknock. We're sisters, Anne and Rachel, 4 miles out from Wacknock. And I'm the elder. And there are 2 more sisters, Sally and Catherine, but they're away from home. Yes, we know them.
Well, I'm Michael, and I've just started school at Kentuck because my parents say I can learn real history and geography here. So I was thinking I could pass on to all of you in thought shapes everything I learn.
Oh, yes, good idea, Michael. We can all learn together. We can share what we learn.
But don't ever let slip that we know more than they think we should.
And so there passed an outwardly uneventful 6 years. We learned to pull all kinds of knowledge, yet to keep that hidden from the norms. Raids from the fringes increased. And my cousin Rosalind and I realised we were in love. Although it seemed to me that we had always been. Our minds had always loved each other. We were all lulled into a false sense of security as we became more practised at hiding our powers. Until the day that my little sister Petra suddenly announced herself. We were harvesting.
Here, David. I'll take your side for a bit. Go down and help with the stoking.
Thanks, Uncle. Do with a breather. What's that? What is it?
Baby.
It's terrible. I have to go.
David. Where are you going?
David, run.
What's the matter?
Run, quick. Please make it stop.
Rosalind, to the water, run. Whoever it is in the lake.
Are you there, David?
It's David! Who on earth is able to make that noise?
Petra!
Your little sister, Petra!
She was over there. Petra? You're safe. Take a deep breath.
Is she all right? David! I was trying to reach...
She's exhausted.
It was too deep.
Did you know?
No, I had no idea she was one of us.
None of us could command like that. David, Rosalind.
Are you hurt?
Who was making that terrible...
One at a time. Let's check which of us is...
People are coming.
David! Is she all right?
I think so, but she's used all of her strength. I'll carry her back.
But how did you know she was in the water? I didn't hear a thing.
What, with the way she was yelling? I'd have thought anybody who wasn't deaf would have heard her halfway to Kentuck.
You two the only ones who heard her?
No. I heard her when I got to the hedge. But no one's got such sharp hearing as Davy here. And lucky he has. Or we'd have a little drowned girl in our hands.
The next day when I was alone in my room, I tried to send thought shapes to Petra. Clear, simple ones that she'd be able to understand. But there was no response.
It must have been panic that brought it out. If Petra isn't aware of it now, she probably doesn't even know it happened. She's only 6, remember? I don't think it's fair or safe to burden her with it till it's necessary.
It's true.
It's hard to watch every word we share. It's hard to hide the sharing of thoughts. We should wait till she's older.
Our only safety is in hiding.
The season on the farms had been a bad one, with many tribulated crops, not just the tomatoes, but potatoes, lettuce, even beans, and everyone was suspicious and angry, looking for scapegoats. Public feeling towards concealments was noticeably less tolerant than it had been the summer before. There was a period of weeks when it seemed to rain every day. In the midst of the gloom, to our amazement, Anne announced that she was going to marry a Norm. Alan Irwin, the boy who had informed on Sophie.
You can't, Anne. For your own sake, you mustn't. It'd be like cutting off one of your senses. He'll never be able to understand you like we can.
Oh, I'm not a fool, Michael. I've thought about it more than you have. There are 3 of you boys and 5 of us girls. David and Rosalind are already a couple. Are you saying that 2 of us girls must never marry? Never have lives or homes of our own? If not, then 2 of us have got to marry Norms.
We can't be the only ones if we wait.
Oh, I love Alan. And you want me to waste years waiting for someone who may never come? I didn't ask to be the way we are. But you can't switch it off. Oh, it's easy for you, Rosalind.
You'll be in terrible danger, Anne. Living with you night and day. Alan's bound to notice.
No, he won't. Because I shan't communicate with you.
You'll receive us whether you want to or not.
Don't turn away from us, Anne.
We are your brothers and sisters.
We think together.
If you hurt us, you hurt yourself.
Oh, I hate having you in my head. I hate all of you. I hate the very idea of you. Anne, please.
She's gone. Rachel, she's blocking us.
She doesn't mean it. I know she doesn't mean it. No, but she wants Alan so much. Her thoughts are all confused and twisted with it. Anne, come back to us. Listen to us.
Anne, come back.
Anne.
Other people seem so dim, so unknowable compared to those who can think together. We don't have to flounder among the shortcomings of words. It's difficult for us to lie to each other and almost impossible for us to misunderstand one another. Why would any of us want to be tied to a half-dumb normal who could never make more than a guess at anyone else's feelings and thoughts? I turned to Uncle Axel for advice. He knew about the forthcoming marriage, but had no idea that Anne was one of us.
I've dreaded this day.
She never wanted to be different from normals. Now she wants to be as like them as she can.
You don't think that perhaps she can make herself live like a norm? Cut out the thought shapes altogether?
No. It'd be like taking a vow of silence for the rest of her life.
So she's planning to sacrifice herself for one loyalty, to him. Sooner or later, the burden of that, the guilt, the need for someone to share the knowledge of her true self will lead her into trouble.
But what can we do?
Just a few words in her sleep would be enough to expose all of you. Does she have the right to create a constant threat hanging over your heads? Just because she wants to live with this man?
I don't know.
A shipmate of mine was once adrift in a lifeboat and a sailor drank seawater and went mad. He tried to wreck the boat so they would all drown together. In the end, they threw him overboard. If they hadn't done it, he'd have taken the rest of them with him.
We couldn't do that.
This isn't a nice, cosy world for anyone. Especially not for anyone different. Maybe you're not the kind to survive it after all.
It's not that. If it were Alan you were talking about, if it would help to throw him overboard, we'd do it. But we can't sacrifice Anne. We're all too close together. It wouldn't just be murder, it'd be like violating part of ourselves.
The alternative is the sword over your heads.
A sword inside us would be worse. I knew that Uncle Axel had proposed the only practical solution. But it was impossible. I couldn't discuss it with the others anyway, for fear Anne might catch her thoughts. She married Alan and we heard no more from her.
Is Anne all right, Rachel? Can you get through to her?
I think she hears us, Rosalind, but she never replies. She only acknowledges me when I use normal speech. She's pretending to be a norm.
Do you think she's happy?
Michael, I don't know. She won't even let me visit her and Alan.
I can understand her trying to cut off from the rest of us, but her own sister...
I can't tell. She blocks me. It must be for her own protection.
There had been hostility between my father and Rosalind's ever since my father had tried to get my Uncle Matthew's great cart horses denounced as deviations. Now both men regularly reported each other to the inspector for the least deviation or offence they could spot in the other's crops. The two families were not even on speaking terms. Rosalind and I met infrequently and very discreetly. Rosalind!
Oh, David. Thank goodness you're early too. Did you choose the prickliest hedge you could find?
How long can you stay?
Half an hour, no more.
Has your mother said anything else about?
Yes, she's inviting Jonas and his parents for dinner. If she tells me one more time what a fine young man he is, and how long it is since there was any deviation in his family, I shall scream.
There's part of me envies Anne, you know. At least she was able to marry the person she loved. I don't see how we'll ever be able to...
Don't. You know Anna's pregnant.
What if we had to get married? What if you were...
Shotgun wedding? I think my father would be as likely to turn his shotgun onto you and use it.
David, Michael, everyone, oh listen. Alan has been killed.
Alan?
How?
Anne's Alan.
What's happened?
They found him on the field path with an arrow through his neck.
Where's Anne? Does she know?
Is she all right?
I've been trying to get through to her, but she won't respond. She's completely closed to me.
Go and see her, Rachel.
Yes, I'm going. She must have someone.
An hour later, Rachel came through again.
She won't see me. She won't let me into the house. She's let a neighbour in, but screamed at me to go away.
She must think one of us did it.
Michael, you know we didn't.
We couldn't do a thing like that.
No one of us hurt Alan.
We've got to get through to her and tell her it wasn't us. Try, all of you. No good. Rachel, send her a note saying we had nothing to do with it. Word it carefully, so it won't mean anything to anyone else.
I'll try. My mother's in there now, trying to persuade her to come home.
We'd best all be prepared. Make ready to run for it if necessary, but don't rouse any suspicions. If she tells us soul... Rachel, let us know at once if anything happens.
We heard fragments from Rachel in the night. Anne had told her mother she knew who'd killed Alan. She became hysterical and turned everyone out, insisting on remaining alone in the house. After a sleepless night, Rachel went back at dawn.
The house was quiet. Really quiet. I knocked and knocked and she never answered. So I called her neighbour and together we used one of the logs from the woodpile to push in a window. And we went upstairs.
Oh, Rachel.
Poor Rachel. We are so sorry.
She was hanging from the beam in her bedroom. We got her down and laid her on the bed, but she was cold. I couldn't think what to do. The neighbour covered her with a sheet and said we should go for my mother. There was a folded paper on the table. She gave it to me. This must be for your parents, she said. It was addressed to the inspector.
Did you?
I realised she couldn't read, so I put it in my pocket.
Chrysalids by John Wyndham. Dramatised by Jane Rogers.
One head, 2 arms and 2 legs. And each arm shall be jointed in 2 places. And have 1 foot, and each foot 5 toes. And each toe shall end with a flat nail. And any creature that shall seem to be human, but is not formed thus, it is not human. It is a blasphemy against the true image of God.
I take for my text, accursed is the mutant. The devil, brothers and sisters...
There were 8 of us left who could share thought shapes, and we knew our lives depended on keeping our mutation secret. Anne had tried to denounce us all. Her suicide, tragic as it was, did take the pressure off the rest of us. No one saw anything suspicious in Anne's death. She was pregnant and distraught about her husband's murder. There was nothing to link us thought sharers to that. Alan had been shot with an everyday hunting arrow. His death could have been an accident. And the spring inspections provided a distraction. Only 2 fields in the whole district needed cleansing, and the normality rate among animals was high too. It put new heart into people. They became more neighbourly and cheerful. My beloved cousin Rosalind and I even began to hope. We were working together repairing our father's adjoining fences. But then my little sister ruined everything.
No! Oh, David, which of us is hurt?
Petra. Has to be. Come on, get the horses. Oh, if only she'd let up for a moment. I can't get through to the others, can you?
No, she's blotting everything out. It's like trying to see through fog.
Come on, Shiva. Westwards. That's where it's coming from. Let's go.
There's a little trap. Follow me.
Oh, I can't. My horse is stuck. Yes. Just... I'm free. Come on. Where are they? Rosalind! Rosalind!
Petra's pony was lying on the far side of the glade with its throat torn open. A huge, mutant cat-like creature was ripping flesh from its haunch with long, curved claws. I started to unsling my bow. It turned its head and crouched, glaring at me, the blood glistening on the lower half of its face.
Michael! Rosalind, good shot! Thank God!
Where is she? Petra!
There! Up in that tree!
We must make her stop. She was bringing all the others. How did you get here so fast, Michael? I was
Petra,
visiting my
all
grandmother.
Right. You're safe now.
Poor pony! My pony!
Shh, there. It's all right, my darling. You're safe.
It's terribly dangerous.
You can ride with me.
Together.
Don't cry.
I'll leave you and David to look after her.
All right, darling. Here, wipe your eyes.
Thank you, Michael. Petra, here. Hold tight around Rosalind's waist. We can't help the poor pony now. Are we ready?
That terrible distress call. Was it one of you?
Sally and Catherine. It must be.
She's all right now. Please go before anyone sees us together.
It's too late. This man followed us.
We couldn't.
What's going on here?
Nothing. It's all right. My sister's pony was attacked, but she's safe now.
What brought you 2 girls here in such a hurry?
We heard the child screaming.
I was right behind you. I heard no screaming.
I'd have thought everyone for miles around would have heard it. The pony was screaming too, poor little brute.
Where are you from? Let me see your tags.
Here. Petra, give him yours. We're not outlaws.
Show me yours. Jerome Skinner.
I'd say it's near half an hour since that pony did any screaming. How did you 2 girls manage to come straight to this spot?
We knew it came from this direction.
And when we got nearer, we heard the little girl.
Very good of you it was to come to help my sister. Lucky she wasn't hurt. But I'd better be getting her home now.
Of course. I hope she feels better soon. Goodbye.
Goodbye. And thanks again. Good Samaritans.
So you don't know those 2?
Of course not. Never seen them before.
Who was that man, Skinner? He has a farm bordering on the woods there.
It was just bad luck he saw us as we were galloping towards the trees. Why was he so suspicious? Does he know something about thought shapes?
He can't make or receive them. I tried him hard.
Some of them do have an idea of it, a sort of emotional transfer of mental impressions. They call it telepathy.
This mustn't happen again. David will have to explain to Petra in words and teach us some self-control. Her signal is way too strong.
If she makes a distress call again, David and Rosalind will handle it. Agreed?
Agreed.
And any creature that shall seem to be human, but is not formed thus, it is not human. It is a blasphemy against the true image of God.
At the purification next afternoon, my father was slitting the throats of 2 tiny lambs that each had 2 joyfully wagging tails. I couldn't help but remember my childhood friend, Sophie. I knew now that they wouldn't have slit her throat, but they would have banished her to the fringes. And that would be the best we could hope for, if they found us out. Afterwards, I slipped away with Petra to go fishing.
All right, let's play a game. You shut your eyes, keep them shut tight, and pretend you're looking down a deep, deep well. There's nothing but dark to see, right?
Yes.
Right, good. Now, look at the dark and watch.
A puppy.
That's very good. Okay, watch it carefully. What's happened now?
Chickens! Turn into chickens!
And open your eyes.
Where are they?
They aren't anywhere. They would just think things. That's the game. Now, I'll shut my eyes too. Then it's your turn to think a picture at the bottom of the well so
Yes.
I can see it.
Yes, I can do that.
What the hell was that? I damn near put an axe through my foot. Sorry, Michael, I'm trying to teach Petra about thought shapes.
I scalded my hand on the kettle. Soothe her.
She isn't unsoothed. It's just the way it is with her. Maybe, but it's a way it can't stay. She must cut it down.
Petra, you're too rough. This time, make a little think picture. Far away, in soft colours. Do it gently, as if you were making it out of cobwebs.
Right, I'm closing my eyes.
Here it comes.
A name horse!
Wonderful. Now you want to cut her down to about 1% of the power in that last one before she burns our brains out.
Over the days that followed, she learned to send and receive simple thought shapes and began to control her power. As yet, she could get little of our projections to one another, though.
Too difficult to see, and all too quick. But I can tell if it's you or Rosalind or Michael doing it. The other ones are much more muddled.
What other ones? Rachel and Sally and...
No. I can tell them. I mean, the long way away ones.
I don't think I know them. Who are they?
Listen. Can't you hear them?
Are they there now?
Yes. Over there. A long, long way.
Can you copy for me what you're getting from them? She tried, but it was very blurred, and I couldn't really make sense of it. We let it rest. Then I heard from my Uncle Axel that Jerome Skinner had been asking if anyone else had caught us making secret signals to each other.
Do you think Axel is overestimating the danger?
No. I had a long talk with him. Do you know what, Rosalind?
Oh, I think I do. Are you going to say it was Axel who shot...
Alan. Yes. Axel worked out that Alan had found out about our thought shaping and was planning to expose us.
Axel killed Alan to protect us?
Yes. I think he understands the danger we are in better than we do ourselves. David, Rosalind. I came in on the end of that one. Your uncle's right. You two and Petra need to be ready to run at a moment's notice. Petra's the weak spot.
Michael's right. If they start to question
There's
her...
nothing to link the rest of us into it at the moment. Skinner was suspicious to see Sally and Catherine in the forest, but as far as we know, he doesn't even know their names.
All right. David, I'll get my things ready tonight. You prepare what you can for you and Petra.
David, Rosalind is calling.
David, they've taken Sally and Catherine.
Hurry, both of you. They were at Sally and Catherine's 10 minutes ago. Get moving.
Meet you below the mill. Hurry.
Petra, get dressed as fast as you can. Overalls. Don't make a sound. Bow. Arrows. Bread and cheese. Drinking water. Blankets. Don't put your shoes on yet. Carry them and come tiptoe. Like a cat.
Rosalind, are you away?
10 minutes ago. I had everything ready. We've been trying desperately to wake you.
Where are you going?
Gently, darling. Please, more gently. We'll explain it all soon. Catherine, Sally.
We're being taken to the inspector. We're playing it innocent and bewildered.
Good. Don't tell them anything.
You think we ought to shut our minds to you? It will make it easier for us to act as normals if we really don't know what is happening.
Agreed. But we shall be open for you. David, faster. I can see lights up at the farm now.
You brought the great horses?
Yes. We'll need supplies and they won't tire. Hoist Petra up to me.
I'm the highest.
I've left room for you in the other pannier, David. You can shoot left-handed from there. Is that all you've brought?
All right, Sheba. Off you go. Home. There was no time.
If you'd spent more time preparing and less time sleeping. My mother and I spent 2 solid hours packing these panniers.
Your mother?
Go on. She's sort of half known for a while. I think she felt as long as she didn't have to admit it in words, it might be all right. When I told her this evening I had to go, she cried. But she helped me.
My mother would never... Did you plan this route, Rosalind?
Of course. Through water, then over rocks. We need to hide our scent and our tracks.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Well, since you slept so well, you can take the first watch.
David, where are you now?
We're holed up in the forest for the day.
The whole place is going wild. They're going to send posses after you.
Are they on to you? And Mark and Rachel?
No. I'm volunteering for a posse. I'll plant a report of you being spotted heading southeast. When that peters out, we'll get Mark to start another to take him north.
What is it? Who?
David. Who's hurt? Shh, Petra. Who is it?
They've broken Catherine. They've broken her. They're torturing her. She's all clouded now. She can't hear us at all.
Oh, Catherine. Why?
It is war. Someday I'll kill them for this.
They hurt her. Why did they hurt her, David?
They were trying to find out how Catherine...
Hush now.
Catherine has admitted thought shapes. I have too. They would have forced me to it in the end. Couldn't face it. Not the hot irons. Not for nothing. When she had told them I couldn't. Forgive me.
Sally, we're not blaming you, either of you. But we must know what you've told them. How much do they know?
About David and Rosalind. They knew, really. But they wanted it confirmed.
Petra too?
Yes. I'm sorry. But they worked it out. It's the only reason why you would have taken her with you.
Anyone else?
We've told them there isn't anyone else. They want to know how we make thought shapes and what the range is. I'm pretending it's no more than 5 miles. Catherine, she's barely conscious. If you could only see what they've done to her. Her poor feet.
I'm hungry.
You can break off a bit of the bread, Petra, but we're not stopping. We've got to move while it's dark.
Rosalind, David, they've made a proclamation about you. They've officially classed you as deviants, non-humans, meaning anyone can shoot you on sight. And there's a huge reward if you were taken alive.
I don't understand, Michael. If we were to promise to go away and stay away...
They're afraid of us because nothing shows. They want to capture you and learn more about us. Imagine if there were a lot more of us than there are, able to think together and plan. We could outwit them all the time.
Michael, are they going to kill Sally and Catherine?
To declare a newborn baby non-human on physical defects is one thing, but it isn't going to be easy for people who have known Sally and Catherine for years to accept the non-human verdict. If they were to be killed, people may start to distrust the authorities.
But we can be killed quite safely.
Rosalind, you aren't among people who know you. To strangers, you are just non-humans on the run.
Well, if any hunter is licensed to shoot us, I think we better head into the fringes.
Good idea, David. If you can find a place to hide up there for a bit, we'll see if we can fake your deaths. Tomorrow we're going southeast to search for you. I'll let you know what's next. If you run into anyone, make sure you shoot first.
Petra, hush. What's the matter?
I don't want to go to the fringes. I'm scared. There's hairy Jack who eats children. There's bogeymen. And old Maggie with teeth as long as knives.
Petra, listen to me. The people who live in the fringes, they're just like us. Not monsters. At home, they make up those stories to frighten babies. The fringes people might look a bit different, maybe with extra fingers or ears or hair. But inside, they get just as sad and lonely as we do.
Who's the other one, Michael?
What? What do you mean?
Someone making think pictures all mixed up with yours.
I get nothing.
Me neither.
Shut up!
Petra, what is it?
Somebody asking questions. She's a long way away. She says she heard me before when my pony got killed. She wants to know who I am.
What do you think?
Yes. Tell her.
I shall have to be very loud. She's so far away.
We closed our minds, and it's just as well we did. Petra's thought shapes were simple, but they still hit me with a violence and brilliance which deafened me.
You? Where is she?
Petra's pointing southwest.
Did you ask her the name of the place, Petra?
Yes, but it didn't mean anything. Except there were 2 islands and a lot of water. She doesn't understand where I am either.
Tell her to spell it in letter shapes.
I can't read letters.
Well, we can send at least. I'll give you the shapes one by one, and you can think them onto her. Look out, everybody.
Rosalind pictured L, and one by one the other letters of Labrador, and Petra relayed them with devastating force.
She doesn't know where Labrador is. She's trying to find out. She wants to send us her letter shapes.
Well, you can pass them on to us, but gently, so we can read them.
The letters spell Zealand.
It must be an S. Sealand.
I asked her. It's Zealand. With lots of sea around it. From where she is, you can see the sun shining on it for miles and miles. All blue.
In the middle of the night. She's crazy.
It isn't night where she is. She showed me. It's a place with houses much, much bigger than Wacknock houses. And funny carts without horses running along the roads. And shiny silver things in the air.
Fish-shaped flying things?
Yes.
David, how on earth did you know
Let
about...
Petra get all she can. We'll sort it out later. At dawn, we found another glade to rest in. I asked Petra about the place her friend had described. Everything fitted with the dreams of a city I had had as a small boy. Clustered on the curve of a big blue bay, with boats in the harbour and white buildings lining leafy streets, the place must really exist.
I hadn't simply been dreaming of the ways of the old people. This was a city that was real, now, somewhere in the world. After a couple of hours, Michael came through.
David, they've picked up your trail, the Great Horse Tracks. Our lot is turning southwest to join the hunt. You'd better push on. Where are you now?
Near Wild Country, I think.
But I can't sleep when it's jolting like this.
We could slow down, David. We must have covered 10 miles already.
What's that?
Where?
Through the trees. Look. Rosalind, straight ahead.
A horseman. He's seen us. He's got his bow.
Shoot! Shoot to kill!
Petra, crouch.
Both wide.
That was close. Again.
Well done, Rosalind.
Poor horse.
Poor us. A wounded riderless horse galloping wildly ahead, spreading alarm.
All we can do is keep going.
There's farm buildings.
I can see people. They're looking at the horse.
Rosalind, let's not give them time to arm. Get up, go on!
Straight through the fence.
They're all running away.
And well, they might, before we trample them.
They won't catch us now, David. This country.
Yes. It must be wild country. These plants are all deviant. There's grass.
Giant sharp-edged blades as tall as a man. It is. You're right.
But we can stop here for a rest. It makes good cover.
Are we at the fringes? Are we...
Petra, stop it!
Sorry, I forgot. It's the Zealand woman. She wants to talk to one of you.
Well, you keep quiet or you'll blind us.
No good. You'll have to tell her we can't reach her, Petra. We'll shut our minds. Rosalind, here's the blankets.
We can have some bread and cheese and apples.
She says it's about me.
You?
I'm the important one. You have to protect me.
Right.
It's true. She says no one has this power of
projection?
Yes, unless they have special training. And help is on its way.
Help? She's somewhere to the southwest and there are miles and miles of badlands that way. Even if she's on the other side of them, how can she possibly help?
She's surprised to find my power among such backward people.
Does she think we're fringe dwellers?
No.
Leave it, you two. Let's sleep for an hour or two, while we can. Come on, Petra.
David, are you awake?
I am now.
They've picked up your trail again, at a small farm on the edge of wild country. You galloped through it.
Yes, Michael.
There's a party converging there right now. Better get moving again. I don't know how it is in front of you, but there may be some men cutting across from the west to head you off. They can't risk a cordon of single sentries because Fringe's people are scouting around too. With luck, you should be able to sneak through.
All right. What's happened to Sally and Catherine?
I don't know.
Michael, it's Rachel here. There's been nothing understandable from Sally for a long time. Mark and I are afraid.
Go on.
Well, we think Catherine's dead.
And Sally?
There've been just one or two little jumbles from her, very weak. Not sensible at all. So we're afraid. They've tortured her.
You see what that means, David? They're ready to break us down in the attempt to find out more about us. You mustn't let them get hold of Rosalind or Petra. Better to kill them yourself.
Yes. I understand.
Why did he say you must kill Rosalind and me?
Only if they catch us.
Why?
Well, we're different from them because they can't make thought shapes.
And when people are different, ordinary people are afraid of them.
Why? We aren't hurting them.
It's a feel thing, not a think thing. The more stupid they are, the more like everyone else they think everyone ought to be. Once they get afraid, they become cruel.
I still don't see why.
Look, we don't want you and Rosalind to be hurt like they hurt Catherine. Being dead's better. It's like being so much asleep they can't hurt you at all.
David, when you killed me and Rosalind...
Darling, we won't let them catch us. Now let's wake Rosalind and not tell her any of this, because she'd only worry.
It's a secret.
Well, at least we've got the stars to steer by.
Zealand must be a funny place. Everybody there can make think pictures.
Grab the reins!
The lead rope's broken!
Brace yourself against the sides of the pannier!
We've lost the front horse! We're heading straight for the forest!
Petra! Rosalind, are you both alright?
Shaken a bit, but yes. It's a bit clearer over there. Look, isn't that a track?
It's heading south. They might not follow us right into the fringes. Man, we could make faster progress on a track. What's that?
Someone's coming.
Someone huge. My arrows are...
Well, don't shoot, David. It's the other horse.
David. David. I love you. Be safe.
Rosalind, I love you too. We will be safe. We will be together.
I love you,
Rosalind.
David. We will be together.
David, what's happened?
I don't know, Michael. Something hit me and now I can't move.
God no want to question him himself. The best head for calm.
They jumped down on us from overhanging branches. 4 or 5 of them. One landed right on top of David. Fringes people.
Was it you we fired at last night?
Someone was firing at us.
I was hoping we were on a false trail. They think it's too risky to come into the fringes in small groups. We're assembling round about 100 men, then coming after you. You'd better get rid of those horses.
A bit late for that advice. I'm in the pannier on the front horse with my thumbs tied together, and David's in a pannier on the second.
You see the supplies they've got? Real bread and cheese.
Where's Petra?
Oh, she's all right. She's in the other pannier on this horse, fraternising with the man in charge.
Are they threatening?
No, they don't seem to know what to do with us. It's the great horses they're interested in.
We'll let the man in charge know that we're coming after you.
Hello there. Feeling better?
My head.
Here, have a drink.
Thank you.
You ever been in the fringes before, boy?
No. Is it all like this?
None of it is like any other part. That's why the fringes is the fringes. Pretty near nothing grows true to stock here yet.
Yeah.
Sure, it'll settle down in time. Wild country was fringes once, but it's steadier now. And the place you come from was wild country once. God's little game of patience, I reckon it is.
I thought it was the devil that rules in the fringes.
It's your parts where the old devil's hanging on and looking after his own. Arrogant they are, those norms, true image and all that.
But you're here because they threw you out. Nobody chooses to be in the fringes.
True enough. But now we as hearers can work it out. The old people thought as they was the last word and they could do as they please. But God doesn't have any last word. He changes and grows like everything else is alive. So, he sent along tribulation to bust up their world. He shuffled the pack to see if it wouldn't give a better break next time.
Why have you taken us prisoner?
Any stranger as enters the fringes gets taken and questioned. It's standard.
We're being chased. Did you know that? By norms. By posses from the other side of the border.
Good. That'll suit us fine.
David,
Rosalind, can you hear her now? The Zealand person.
I know you are in danger. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Agree to whatever the fringe people say. Play for time. Tell them about the danger you are in from your own people. Some deviational tribes detest the appearance of normality. Explain to them how different you are inside.
Tell them about thought shapes?
Yes. The really important thing is the little girl. Keep her safe at all costs.
But who are you? Where is this Zealand?
We are the new people. Your kind of people who can think together. We're building a new world, different from the old peoples and from the savages.
The kind of world God intended, perhaps.
The old people were shut off from one another with only clumsy words to link them. Often they were shut off still more by different languages, different beliefs. They were an inadequate species.
Are there many of us in other places?
Yes, we have discovered thought-shape makers in other lands, but none so far away as you. Now we have machines again, we've started fetching them to safety, as we will with you. Look after the little girl. She is unique.
That's me!
Petra, gently, please.
The horses clumped steadily on for hours. Then we forded a river and filed between cliffs. On the other side, a well-worn path led through woods to a clearing. Crude huts and tents littered the ground, and tattered men and women stopped to stare at us. One had immensely large feet and hands, and another a hairless head like a polished brown egg. But whatever was wrong with the rest was hidden under their rags. Our captors led us to the largest tent. Waiting there was a man with long, spidery arms and legs, and a face so like my father's that I was jolted with panic.
David, it's horrible.
But he looks like...
Shh. Okay, they're talking.
Remember me?
Yes.
Not much like Wagnok.
Not much.
Know who I am?
I think so.
Really?
My father had an elder brother, Gordon. He was thought to be normal until he was about 3 years old, then his certificate was revoked.
Yes, but not quite right. Gordon's mother loved him. So when they came to take him away, he was already missing. But they'd hushed that up, of course.
Yes, they do that.
Who are the girls?
I'm Rosalind.
And my sister.
Know what the length of a man's arm should be?
No.
Nor do I. But some expert on the true image reckons these of mine are too long. So I must live like a savage. You the elder son?
The only one. There was a younger one, but...
So you two have lost Wagnok.
It's a relief to be safely away. I've had more than enough of living in hiding.
We all live in hiding here.
Maybe, but... You can be your own selves. You don't have to think twice each time you open your mouth.
Mm-hmm. We heard about you. What I don't understand is why they're after you in such strength.
We worry them more than the usual deviants, because they have no way of identifying us. They suspect there are a lot more of us than there are.
So they're coming right into the fringes after you? How many?
I'm not sure.
From what I've heard, you should have ways of finding out. Better not fool with us, boy. Why should we care what happens to you? Quite easy to put one of you where they'd find you.
More than 100 men.
So, there is one of you with them. 100 is a lot to send after just you three. There will have been rumours about trouble brewing in the fringes.
Yes.
So it comes in handy for them. For the first time, they take the initiative and invade us and pick you up too. Is your father with them?
No.
Pity. I've been hoping for a long time to meet your father on equal terms.
Suddenly, he turned to consider Rosalind. She looked back at him with her straight, confident air, eyeing him coldly for long seconds, while his eyes roved up and down her slim figure. Then suddenly her eyes dropped and she flushed. He grinned to himself.
How dare you! You! Get the young devil off me!
Calm yourself, Waddy!
Hold him tight! If you so much as knuckles, you credit, boy!
Well, you've lost her now. Take a look at the women round here. Besides, this one can have children. And I've a fancy for children, even if they do take after their father a bit. Oh, you need to take it the way it is, boy. I do not give second chances. Chuck him out. And if he don't stay out, shoot him.
Right, you heard the boss. Straight back the way we come and keep on going.
After a few paces, I looked back, but he had an arrow trained on me. So I kept going until the trees hid me, then doubled back under cover. Just what he was expecting. He didn't shoot me, just beat me up and slung me back into the undergrowth.
Stop. Give me a minute. Let me see if I can stand. Why are you helping me?
You don't remember me, David.
Sophie. Sophie.
Have they hurt you badly?
I can move my arms and legs.
There's blood on your face.
Nothing broken, I don't think.
I saw them bringing you in. You and the little girl and the other girl. Who is she? David.
My cousin Rosalind.
Gordon wants her, doesn't he?
That's what he said.
She could give him babies.
What are you trying to do to me?
So you're in love with her?
Yes, we love one another.
Right. Gordon's gone away, where the fighting is. She's safe just now.
Yes, she's asleep.
How do you know that? Is it true you can mind read?
Some of us can think together. We can understand what is in each other's minds. That's how we deviate.
My mother used to say there was something about you. She said you sometimes used to understand her before she spoke.
Your mother must have had a little of it, without knowing.
It must be wonderful. Like more eyes inside you.
Something like that. But it can hurt a lot sometimes.
To be any kind of deviant is to hurt. Always. If she were to give him children, he wouldn't want me anymore.
Sophie, are you in love with him? With that spider in there?
Don't call him that. We can't, any of us, help being what we are. Gordon's kind to me. You don't understand. There's nothing here, no future. If I could give him children...
Tears squeezed out from under her closed lids. Her hair hung in matted strands. Her dress was stained, and her arms were scratched and filthy. I remembered the little figure who had given me a lock of hair tied with a yellow ribbon. And my heart ached.
Sophie, Rosalind would never let it happen. I know that.
You can't know a thing like that about another person.
I could feel what she was thinking about that. About Gordon when he looked at her.
Can you see what I think?
No. It isn't a kind of spying.
I don't understand. But we should go. It's dark enough now. Can you walk? If we keep away from the firelight, they won't spot us.
Do you live in one of those tents, Sophie?
No. I live up here. Give me your hand. Can you feel the ladder?
We're by the cliff.
Yeah. You need to follow me up the ladder.
I can't see a thing.
It's safe enough. Just feel for the rungs. All right. In here. Give me your arm.
Sophie pulled me over a rock ledge into a cave even more pitch dark than the night outside. Then she lit a crude pair of candles. In one corner, water dripped steadily into a bucket. In the other was a mattress of small branches spread with skins and a tattered blanket. The candles flickered and sent greasy smoke up to the roof. It stank.
Here, let me wash the blood off your head.
It doesn't feel too bad.
No. It's a cut above your eyebrow. I don't think it's deep. Do you want to wash your hands? You hungry, David?
Very.
Stay here. I won't be long.
Michael, where are you?
We've camped for the night. Too dangerous to go on in the dark. Where are you?
I'm safe. Remember Sophie?
The girl with 6 toes.
She's a fringe dweller. She's hiding me.
They know their woods, these fringes people. It's been sniping and harassing all the way. We've lost 3 killed and 7 wounded.
But you are still coming on?
Yes. They want you badly, David. There's a rumour that there are dozens of us scattered around Wacknock, and you have to be brought back to identify them.
Hang on. Sophie's coming back.
Here. Help yourself.
Thanks. I'm starving.
It's quiet down there. The men have gone out to lie in wait for the Norms.
The food's good. What is it?
It's green shoots, grains, meat from her.
What?
I don't know. Some cat-like rabbit thing they shot last week.
Petra, no! Stop! You made me spill my food!
You're alive! He's all right, Rosalind. David's all right.
What is it? What's wrong?
It's David, Michael. We thought they'd killed him.
Oh, David. Thank heavens. Oh, my love. I was so afraid. Where are you?
Rosalind, I'm in the camp. Don't be upset. We will be safe together.
I love you,
Rosalind.
David. I love
Love
you.
you too. Disentangle yourselves. We need a plan.
Oh, Michael, we certainly do. We're being held captive in the tent of the Spider-Man.
Man with pink eyes is guarding us.
Petra, ask your Zealand friend if she still thinks she can reach you.
Yes. Can you hear me? We're getting closer. We should be there within 16 hours.
So we need Rosalind and Petra and David to be kept safe for that long.
Hang on. I'm going to talk to Sophie.
You were making those thought shapes.
Yes. To Rosalind and my sister. Is there any way they can be got out of that tent before Gordon comes back?
Yeah. That would be best for all of us. Except him.
Can I use a spear?
No, you must stay here, David.
But...
No! If you're seen, there'll be an alarm. No one will take any notice of me going into his tent.
What about the guards?
Look, I'll take a knife.
Sophie...
Don't make your thought shapes. Tell them, no noise, whatever happens, not a sound. Tell them to be ready to follow me. And to have dark pieces of cloth ready to wrap around themselves.
All right. But I wish you'd let me come with you.
You'd only increase the risk. You don't know the place.
She blew out one candle. Then she was gone. I passed on her instructions to Rosalind, and we impressed on Petra the need for silence. I sat in the darkness listening to the steady drip drip, then went to the cave entrance and looked out into the night. There was a low murmur of voices as people moved about the cooking fires. A night bird calling harshly. Then silence. At last I heard the crunch of grit underfoot, directly below me.
David, is this right? Are you there?
Yes. Come on up the ladder. I'm lighting another candle.
Oh, David!
Rosalind. Oh, Petra. Oh, thank heavens.
David, listen. Sophie killed...
Pour me a bowl of water, would you, David?
We watched in horrid fascination as Sophie washed the blood off her arms and cleaned the knife. Matter-of-factly, she removed her bodice and began to rinse it in the water.
So, Rosalind, you must get rid of that cross on your dress, hers too. We women in the fringes don't feel the cross has served us very well. But there's a little knife by my bed. I used to wear one. Didn't help me either.
They don't like insistence on the true image in these parts.
It's not just an identification. It's a challenge.
Or don't we try to get as far away as we can before it's light?
No. When they find the body, there'll be a search. They'll think you killed him and ran into the woods. They'll never think of looking for you here.
We stay here?
Until they call off the search. Then I'll see you clear.
Why are you doing all this for us?
Hush, Rosalind. She's with that Spider-Man. She doesn't want him to see you again. She doesn't want him to think of having children with you.
I don't believe that's the whole story, David.
Why am I helping you? Damn you. Leave me alone.
You can't just...
Go on. Laugh at me. Laugh at me because I do want him. Me. And what's the use? If he weren't in love with you, what good would I be to him? Like this?
Sophie.
Just shut up and leave me alone, the pair of you. I'll come back for you in the morning.
David, did you mean to sleep all day?
What's the time?
Well, it's been like 3 hours and we've already fought a battle.
Michael, what happened?
A rout of the Fringes people at a cost of a couple of wounded to us.
So you're advancing?
Yes. I suppose they'll rally somewhere, but for now they've simply melted away.
We can't leave this cave in daylight, but if your lot captures the camp, they'll search it and we'll be found.
Do you think we can count on the Zealand people?
You can count on us. We're 8 hours away, flying over terrible ruined land. It's fused into black glass. It's like going over the rim of the world into the outskirts of hell. To think that a whole race could go insane and do this. If we didn't know you were on the other side of it, we'd have turned back.
No! Don't turn back.
We won't. Don't worry.
Here. I brought you some porridge.
Sophie, did you find the guard?
They think you killed him. But now injured men are trickling in from the fighting, so they have other things to worry about. How close are the gnomes?
Michael, where are you now?
Clear of the forest, into rough country.
They're already in rough country.
So, 3 hours. Maybe less to the riverbank.
Michael, is my father with you?
Yes.
For a deviation, permitted to grow and breathe, would spread pollution until all around us would be mutants and abominations.
What kind of man would hunt his own? Oh, David, I'm so sorry.
What is it? What are you saying?
David and Petra's father, Joseph Strorm. He's with the hunting party.
That's inhuman. Your own father.
Honour thy father. Am I supposed to forgive him? Or to try to kill him too?
Look, there's a party of men come back, and Gordon with them. I'm going to see what I can find out.
Sophie was gone a long time. We ate our porridge and stared out as the wounded straggled back to camp. Eventually, I contacted Michael again to check on the advance.
We're on the other side of the river now, opposite the cleft. We've spotted a couple of them moving on top of the cliffs.
What's the plan?
We're leaving 6 men here, passing and repassing, in view to give the impression of more, and we've lit fires to suggest that we are held up. Rest of the force has split to make 2 crossings, one upstream and one down. We'll then pincer in behind the camp. Let them know.
You can't, David. Not unless Sophie comes back. If you went down there, they'd shoot you on sight. They already think you killed the albino and freed me and Petra.
But I can't just stay here and do nothing, Rosalind.
We're crossing the river downstream from you. No opposition.
Look, they're running towards the firing. There's the Spider-Man.
And Sophie. Michael, is that your lot shooting?
No, it's the other party trying to draw the Fringes men in their direction so we can come in from the opposite side and take the camp from the rear.
They're succeeding.
We need a sharper reading on you now. Petra, can you count for us?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Good.
We're closer than we thought, practically there. Keep your thoughts fixed on me, Petra.
All these men from Ratnug. Look how many. Our neighbours, our friends, coming to hunt us down.
To capture us and torture.
Oh, David, look.
Father.
But look at the Spider-Man.
He was standing by his tent, bow in hand, watching the riders. Sophie was tugging at his ragged jacket, urging him to run towards the caves. He brushed her back with his long right arm. Suddenly, his bow came up like a flash, bent to its full, and loosed. The shaft took my father in the chest. He jerked and dropped to the ground. The Spider-Man snatched up Sophie and began to run. His spindly legs had not made more than 3 strides when a couple of arrows took him and he fell. Sophie ran on, but an arrow took her in the back of the neck. She dropped in mid-stride. Oh, Sophie. Sophie.
What's that noise?
Don't be frightened. Just stay where you are.
We're here, David. In the camp, all opposition has melted away.
Look up! Look up!
A bank of mist hung over us. Through it, I could make out one of the strange fish-shaped craft that I had dreamt of in my childhood. It was growing bigger and louder as it dropped towards us. Glistening threads like cobwebs seemed to drift down from it. In seconds, the whole place was in chaos. Men cannoned into one another, panic-stricken horses trampled through the tents, tripped and sent their riders headlong.
Michael, this way towards the caves. Coming. But there's this sticky stuff like cobwebs. Look up to the top cave. I can see you now. I can't move my hand. It's stuck.
Don't struggle. Lie down if you can. Keep still on the ground so it can't get round you.
It's falling on everyone, Michael. It's holding them captive. It's holding me captive, damn it. Where they're struggling, it seems to tighten around them. Lie still, like she says.
David, look out! It's wafting in!
Move back, both of you!
Here they are!
The wind's blowing the filaments into the cave.
I can't see, it's on my face!
It's on me too!
Keep calm. We can free you in a minute, just don't move. Count, Michael, to guide me to you.
1, 2...
She went to Michael first, where he lay glued to the ground by the sticky threads. She sprayed him with a substance that made them dissolve. I felt his leap of relief. Then we heard them making their way up the ladder to our cave.
Hold still! You must be David. The threads can only be broken with this spray, otherwise they tighten.
Thank you.
Turn around. And now for the other 2.
David, just look down there. Those threads are shrinking. They're crumpling the tents. They're pulling bushes up by the roots.
So you must be Petra. Oh, well, it was worthwhile. It's hard to get permission to come. We've never travelled so far to rescue someone before, but you are worth it.
I'm free.
At your age, untrained, you control a thought halfway round the world. Now, Rosalind.
Oh, thank you. There's that sound down there. Are they all dead?
The plastic threads contract as they dry. A man who struggles and entangles himself soon becomes unconscious.
That's horrible.
It's not pleasant to kill any creature, but these people had no future. They knew you were a threat to their species. They were ready to kill you. We're able to think together and understand one another as they never could.
What about the others in Whitenock? Mark and Rachel?
I'm sorry, I know there are more of you, but we simply don't have the fuel for another takeoff and landing.
We can't even reach... Petra, will you tell them? Tell Rachel we're safe and that we love her. Show her we'll come back and rescue them one day.
One day, maybe. Shall we go? There's nothing here for you now.
The flying machine took us over burnt black lands where nothing lived or moved from one horizon to the next. And I slumped into exhausted sleep, then woke with a jerk, not daring to believe we were safe. When at last we came to the skies above Zealand, it was just as I had seen it in my dreams. A
brighter sun than Wacknock ever knew poured down upon the wide blue bay. Clustered along the shore lay the city with its white houses embedded among green parks and gardens. I could make out tiny horseless vehicles sliding along the wide tree-bordered roads. It was so familiar I almost misgave. I took hold of Rosalind's hand to reassure myself. It is real down there, isn't it? You can see it too.
It's beautiful. I never thought there would be anything so lovely. And listen, David.
What is it?
At last! Now you can hear them all too.
People. Lots and lots of our kind of people.
In the Chrysalids, David was played by Matthew Beard, Petra by Sidney Wade, and Rosalind by Verity May Henry. Michael and the Fringe Dweller were played by Henry DeVass, Rachel and the Zealander by Emma Cunniff. Gordon was played by Conrad Nelson, and Sophie and Sally by Carla Henry. The Chrysalids was written by John Wyndham and dramatised by Jane Rogers. It was directed in Salford by Nadia Molinardi.